Great presentation, Rajeshwari. I wanted to ask about one of the last things that you mentioned, which is that kind of migration from a previous version to the next one. You said that it doesn't take a long time, but
Mhm.
could you just talk a little bit more about what that process might look like and what are the best practices when sort of aligning those changes for existing
Yeah.
participants?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So there are a couple things to think about. When you're doing a form version migration, you want to consider what the status of your forms are at, right? So let's say that all of them are data entry started, so they are yet to be completed. If that's the case, you can do form version migration on all of the participants. You're allowed to select, if you only want to migrate for site one, site two, or all of them if needed. You could also only migrate at the study level or the site level if you wanted to. There's that functionality too, but I doubt people will use it. But the point is you have flexibility to use it. But let's say that some of your forms are completed and some of your forms are data entry started. How do you manage that, right? So the thing is, let's say that you're on version 1, it had 10 variables, and version 2 has 20 variables. So there are extra variables that you want to collect data on, let's say. So if you want to collect new data on the forms that you already completed with version 1, in that case, it's important to note down the participants that you're going to be doing that form version migration for. If you have like 100, 200, 300 participants, you want to be extra careful because the status of the form is not going to change to another status just because you did form version migration. So this is where our module like Insight is really, really useful because you can essentially get a list of all your participants, the ones that are at a data entry completed status. And those are the ones that you're going to go back and go into via edit mode to actually update the answers for. So that's one of the things that we always want to like remind people of, looking at the status of the forms. And if it's data entry started, it's fine. You can just do the migration because you have to complete them anyways. But if some of them are completed already, then knowing which ones are completed and which ones you have to go through to go back and re-answer if you choose to re-answer. Again, you don't have to. It just really depends on what you need to do. Any follow-up questions to that, Elizabeth?
No, that was very helpful. It makes sense that it would say completed, but it might not be truly completed because there are questions that are
New,
unanswered for
yeah.
those participants, and it doesn't change the status of the form. Great,
Yeah,
thank
and
you.
again, it comes down to whether or not you need to collect that data for those older patients. Like depending on your protocol amendment, maybe you don't need to do it, maybe you do. It all depends on that. So really analyzing your amendment will help you understand which route you need to take.